Okay, welcome back. Great to have you with us for another deep dive. We've got that stack of sources you sent over, and today we're really tailoring this for you, focusing on your UPSC exam preparation. This is May 22nd, 2025, and think of this as part one of today's current affairs, our mission. To unpack the really important stuff from these sources for you, we're covering quite a range today. Seriously, we'll be jumping from ancient ships and rare birds to, well, some pretty cutting-edge science and major national projects. Some of it might ring a bell, actually, so it's a good chance for a bit of revision, maybe solidify things you already knew.
Exactly. And we're not just listing facts. We want to help you see the connections, how these different things link up and why they're important for understanding the bigger picture, which is, of course, crucial for your exams.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get into it. First up, something really fascinating from India's maritime past. INSV Kondinya.
Ah, yes, the reconstructed 5th century stitched ship. This is more than just rebuilding an old boat.
Right. It's a big initiative, launched back in July 2023. It's a joint effort, Ministry of Culture, Indian Navy, and a company called Hoti Innovations.
And the Culture Ministry is funding it, seeing it as a symbol, right? A way to promote awareness of India's shipbuilding heritage.
Totally. And the way they built it is just,
Yeah.
wow. It's using ancient stitched ship techniques.
Stitched ship, yeah. So think about that, joining wooden planks using coir ropes, coconut fibers, natural resin. No metal nails?
No metal, just stitched wood. Incredible.
It's a completely different philosophy of construction, relying on natural flexibility.
And the design source is amazing, too. There weren't any blueprints, so they based it on a maritime scene from a 5th century painting in the Ajanta caves.
Imagine that. Trying to build a working ship from a 1,500-year-old painting. It needs archaeology, naval architecture, hydrodynamics. A real interdisciplinary puzzle.
Historical detective work, like you said. And there's symbolism woven in. The sails have Gandhakarunda and sun motifs.
Mythical two-headed bird, yeah.
And the bow has a Simhayali, that lion figure. Plus, they've even got a Harappan-style stone anchor on deck.
That anchor, it connects it right back to the Indus Valley civilization. Thousands of years of history there.
And the name, Kondinya, after a legendary Indian sailor said to have reached Southeast Asia, really underscores India's ancient maritime reach.
Definitely. And speaking of Ajanta, quick refresher, Maharashtra, 2nd BCE to 6th CE, tempera technique, mostly Buddhist themes, Jataka tales, Buddha's life, very expressive figures. You'll likely have covered this in your art and culture prep.
Good point.
So this whole Kondinya project, it's about reviving skills, potential cultural diplomacy. They're planning a sail to Oman later in 2025, I think.
Yeah, that's the plan.
It really speaks to the continuity of India's maritime story, doesn't it? Raises questions about how these traditions persisted.
It really goes.
Yeah.
Okay, from ancient craft to modern accolades, let's talk about the International Booker Prize. Big news for India here.
Huge news.
The 2025 winner is Banu Mushtaq, an Indian writer, for her short story collection Heartlamp, translated by Deepa Basti.
And this is significant on multiple levels.
It really is. First author writing in Canada to win. And the first short story collection ever to win the International Booker.
That's major. And the book itself, Heartlamp, spans stories from 1990 to 2023. It portrays the lives and struggles of Muslim women in southern India.
Bringing quite a specific, important narrative to a global audience.
Absolutely. The prize itself, just a quick reminder, is annual. Best fiction or short stories translated into English, published in the UK or Ireland.
Started in 2005. But the rules changed in 2015 to focus specifically on translated work published annually. Any nationality is eligible if translated.
And the unique thing is how it recognizes the translator, that £50,000 prize, split equally between author and translator.
Which is so important. Shortlisted authors and translators get £2,500 too. The Booker Prize Foundation administers it.
So this win, it's obviously huge for Mushtaq and Basti, but also for Kannada literature getting global recognition. It highlights translation's role in cultural exchange and spotlights those specific social narratives.
A sign of growing global interest in diverse voices, for sure. Okay, let's shift gears now, way over to cutting-edge science. Liquid carbon.
Right. This is about observing a state of matter that's fundamental to extreme environments, but incredibly hard to study.
Exactly. The news is scientists has finally managed to observe the atomic structure of liquid carbon directly. This was a team effort, researchers from Germany and elsewhere.
Because liquid carbon, Well, it doesn't exist under normal conditions. Carbon usually just goes straight from solid to gas sublimes.
You need extreme heat, like 4,500 Celsius and very high pressure.
Conditions so extreme, traditional containers just melt or vaporize.
So how do they do it? They use a laser-driven compression technique.
Right, the dipole 100X laser, it created these intense compression waves that liquefied a tiny carbon sample, but only for nanoseconds, just incredibly brief moments.
Nanoseconds. And then
Then, during that nanosecond window, they hit it with an ultra-short, super bright X-ray pulse from the European exaphale.
and the X-rays bouncing off the atoms revealed the structure, like a super fast snapshot.
Precisely. They took multiple snapshots at different times to build up a sort of movie of the process.
So what did they find? What does liquid carbon look like at the atomic level?
This is the surprising part. It has a water-like structure. Each carbon atom has 4 nearest neighbors.
4 neighbors. Isn't that like solid diamond?
Exactly. It resembles Gaiman's structure in that way, so it's water-like and diamond-like. The experiment confirmed some theories and helped pin down the melting point at high pressure.
Fascinating. Why is knowing this structure important?
Oh, it's crucial for planetary science, understanding the interiors of Earth, other planets, exoplanets, also for astrophysics, high-energy processes, and even things like fusion energy research, where you deal with matter under extreme conditions.
Wow. Okay, sticking with material science is another discovery. Intercrystals.
Yes, a whole new class of materials from researchers at Rutgers. This taps into that exciting field of twistronics.
Twistronics, right. So what are intercrystals?
They're made by stacking 2 layers of graphene, slightly twisted relative to each other, on top of another material, hexagonal boron nitride, or HBN.
And that twist is the key.
It's the key. That tiny angle of misalignment creates a larger interference pattern called a moire superlattice. And this pattern fundamentally changes how electrons behave.
Creates new electronic properties just through twisting.
Exactly. It enables new electronic phases that you just don't see in the individual layers or in untwisted stacks. It builds on earlier work showing strange effects in twisted graphene.
And structurally, they're unusual, sort of a mix between regular crystals and quasicrystals.
That's the idea. They seem to have the ordered but non-repeating patterns of quasicrystals, yet retain some symmetries of regular crystals. This structure leads to something called geometric frustration, which helps enable these new quantum phases.
And their electronic properties are super sensitive.
Incredibly sensitive, tiny changes in structure can cause dramatic shifts in properties, unlike normal materials. They show novel quantum effects, even superconductivity.
So you could potentially tune a material's properties just by twisting layers.
That's the potential power here. It could be massive for future electronics, quantum computing. It's a fundamentally new tool in the material science toolbox. The question, as always, is how fast can we get this from the lab into actual devices?
A question worth asking. Okay, let's look up now to space tech making news back here on Earth, the SWOT satellite.
SWOT surface water and ocean topography. It's giving us incredible data on Earth's water.
And the latest is that NASA and Virginia Tech researchers used SWOT data to actually measure the speed and height of flood waves on U.S. rivers, a scientific first.
Which is pretty significant. SWOT itself, launched in 2022, is a joint mission. NASA, CNS from France, UK, Canada.
How does it work?
It uses a Ka-band radar interferometer current. Basically, it sends down radar signals and measures the return to get super precise measurements of water surface height, width, and elevation.
For rivers, lakes, oceans.
Yeah.
The lot. And it tracks how they change over time.
Yes, high-resolution dynamic tracking. It covers a huge percentage of large global floods, too, because of its orbit.
So these river waves it measured, they're not like ocean waves.
No, think surges in flow. Caused by heavy rain, snowmelt, ice jams, dam breaches. They're temporary, unsteady, and can be really long, hundreds of kilometers sometimes.
And before SWOT, we could only measure them locally with gauges on the ground.
Pretty much. And gauges are sparse, especially globally. They give you a point measurement, not the whole picture of how the wave moves.
So SWOT provides that large-scale, dynamic view from space.
Exactly, which means better flood forecasting, better water management, better understanding of aquatic ecosystems. It's a great example of how satellite tech is transforming Earth observation. Crucial data for disaster management and resource planning areas relevant to your studies.
Absolutely. Okay, from space tech down to Earth, tackling crime. The Central Equipment Identity Register, or CER portal.
Ah, yes, the system for tracking lost and stolen mobiles.
That's the one. And the news is Telangana has become the top-performing state in India for recovering phones using this CER portal.
That's a positive outcome. So what is CER fundamentally?
It's developed by the Department of Telecom, DOT, under the Ministry of Communications. It's essentially a central database of all mobile phones in India, identified by their unique 15-digit IMEI number.
And the key is it helps track a phone even if someone swaps the SIM card.
Exactly. You report your lost stolen phone on the portal with the details, IMEI, FIR copy. The system then shares that blacklisted IMEI with all network operators.
So the phone can't connect to any network. It maintains different lists, right?
Yes, a white list for authorized phones, a gray list for phones under observation, and the crucial blacklist for stolen or unauthorized phones that get blocked.
So the main goals are deterring theft, disrupting the stolen phone market, protecting consumers, and providing that tracking infrastructure.
It's a really important tool for public safety and digital security in our increasingly mobile world, something to be aware of in the context of e-governance and security.
Definitely. The ability to track via IMEI regardless of the SIM is a powerful feature.
Okay, moving to agriculture now, specifically the spice sector. There's a new scheme called Spiced,
Spiced. Nicely named.
isn't it? The Spices Board just launched its Sustainability and Spice Sector through progressive, innovative, and collaborative interventions for export development for FY 2025-26.
Under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, so what's the main aim?
It's about providing financial assistance across the board, really, to boost sustainability, encourage innovation, and crucially drive export development for Indian spices.
So tackling productivity, quality, and meeting global standards.
Precisely. It specifically targets improving productivity for small and large cardamom. It supports better post-harvest handling, encourages value-added products, organic spices, GI-tag spices.
And helping producers meet those strict international food safety and phytosanitary standards.
Yes, enabling compliance is a big part, plus capacity building for farmers and stakeholders.
What kind of support does it offer?
It's quite broad. Support for replanting cardamom, improving irrigation, promoting organic farming and good agricultural practices, GAP, assistance for better post-harvest infra, like dryers and grading units, especially for farmers and FPOs.
Machines, too.
Yeah, polishers, boilers, distillation units. Also support for spice incubation centers, startups, MSMEs in the sector, training programs for farmers, SHGs, FPOs, and help with export promotion, like trade fairs.
Seems comprehensive, and their geotagging activities for transparency.
They are, yes. And publishing info online. Exporters need their CRES registration, with some preference for first-timers and SMEs.
This looks strategically important. It's trying to address weaknesses across the entire value chain, from farm productivity right through to meeting export market demands, linking quality improvements directly to trade.
It's a good example of a targeted scheme aiming for impact at multiple levels. Vital for a sector like spices.
Absolutely.
Okay, finally for this section, a major infrastructure project, Polavaram.
The Polavaram project on the Godavari, a huge and sometimes contentious undertaking.
It is. And the latest development is that the Prime Minister is chairing a meeting about it with the chief ministers of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Odisha, and Chhattisgarh.
That meeting itself tells you a lot about its multi-state implications and the need for high-level coordination.
Definitely. So, Polavaram is a multi-purpose irrigation project on the Godavari River, located in Andhra Pradesh near Polavaram village, but right near the borders with Chhattisgarh and Odisha.
Conceived way back in the 80s, part of the Godavari Water Disputes Tribunal recommendations. It's got national project status.
Its core purpose is building a massive dam for irrigation, drinking water, and hydropower.
And the scale is just immense. The dam's over 1 kilometer long, huge piers, 48 gates. It's designed for massive floods, and its spillway capacity is set to be the highest in the world.
Higher than 3 gorges, wow. They even set a world record for pouring concrete there.
The objectives match the scale. Huge irrigation potential, over 4.3 lakh hectares. Significant hydropower, 960 milliW, drinking water for millions.
And it also aims to divert a large amount of Godavari water, 80 TMC, to the Krishna Basin, plus flood control benefits.
Projects like this are critical for development, no doubt. Water security, agriculture, power. But they inevitably involve complex interstate issues, environmental concerns, displacement. That's why these high-level discussions are necessary.
It really highlights the challenge of balancing development goals with managing impacts and coordinating interests in large infra projects. Something to keep in mind for governance and development studies.
Indeed. How do you navigate those complex trade-offs?
Right. Let's shift now to environment and conservation. We mentioned the kakapo earlier.
New Zealand's remarkable flightless parrot, critically endangered.
And the news was about researchers using artificial insemination, AI, to help them breed. Shows the intensive efforts involved.
It really does. The kakapo is unique, largest flightless parrot, nocturnal, herbivore, and the only parrot with that lek breeding system where males display communally.
Describe them again.
Owl-like face, distinctive moss-green feathers, gray bill and legs. They only breed infrequently, too, tied to the fruiting of certain native trees.
And the main threats.
Introduced predators, rats, stoats, weasels are devastating for a ground-dwelling bird. They also face infertility issues, embryo mortality, and disease susceptibility, like that fungal infection, aspergillosis.
Hence, critically endangered on the IUCN Red List, a status you should definitely be familiar with.
Absolutely. And despite their plight, they play a role in seed dispersal in their ecosystem.
So interventions like AI, they're really crucial for species right on the edge, especially with complex breeding biology like the kakapo.
It shows the lengths conservation science now has to go to. It's fascinating and a bit sobering to see human tech being used to try and fix problems often caused by past human actions, like introducing those predators.
A powerful point. Okay, let's broaden the focus to wrap up this part. A global observance. International Day for Biological Diversity, IDB.
Yes, marked every year on May 22nd.
Its purpose is pretty clear. Raise awareness and understanding about biodiversity issues, and remind everyone about the urgent need for action.
And the theme for 2025 is important: harmony with nature and sustainable development.
That theme directly links nature conservation with the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs.
It emphasizes that you can't separate them. The 2025 focus is on connecting the 2030 Agenda, SDGs, with the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, KMGBF, goals.
The message being, these two global agendas have to move forward together. They support each other. And this ties into the recently adopted Pact for the Future as well.
It's about recognizing that interconnectedness. Sustainable development depends on healthy biodiversity.
Just a bit of history, the UN set the date. It used to be Dec 29th when the Convention on Biological Diversity, the CBD, came to force.
But they changed it in 2000 to May 22nd, which marks the date the text of the CBD was adopted back in 1992. Partly logistical, avoiding the December holidays. So IDB really ties back to everything. The kakapo struggle is a biodiversity issue. Big projects like Polavarum have biodiversity impacts. Schemes like Spice2D rely on agricultural biodiversity. It's a reminder that it's all connected, and conservation is linked directly to sustainable development. It reinforces those global commitments like the KMGBF.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground today. An ancient ship, the Booker Prize, liquid carbon, intercrystals, SWAT, CIR, spiced, Polavarum, kakapo conservation, and the IDB. Quite the snapshot of current affairs. We really hope digging into these diverse topics has been useful for you, especially keeping your UPSC preparation in mind. Understanding these developments across S&T, governance, environment, culture, it's all part of the picture. And hopefully revisiting some topics was good revision.
Absolutely. What stands out is that constant interplay, isn't it? Human activity, scientific discovery, heritage, the natural world. It's all interacting in complex ways. Grasping that complexity is key.
It really is. So here's a final thought for you to maybe mull over. Given this sheer range of information, from ancient history to quantum materials to global frameworks, how do you personally prioritize staying informed and connecting the dots across so many different fields? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. If you found it helpful, please do hit that like button and subscribe. That way, you won't miss future deep dives designed to help you stay informed. Until the next time, keep learning and keep exploring.